Hello, welcome back. This is a two-part series. So today is getting ready to move your child from the crib to the big kid bed. Part two will be what to do if they start leaving the bed in the room during the night. So this one's just the setup. And if you are about ready for this or looking forward to it, the first thing to think about is when you do this. Highly suggest waiting until about 3 years old, as early as 2.5. I have seen children younger than this do it quite successfully, but there tends to be a longer learning period the younger they are. And the closer you get to 3, the better. They just have more maturity to understand that responsibility of having the big kid bed and staying in there to sleep. So around 3 years old. Nothing says that you have to move them at 3 years old. If they're perfectly fine in that crib, keep them in that crib. Just check the regulations on the crib that they're not over the weight or height limit, that it's still safe for them. So the other thing to think about is what's going on in their life. You want this to be the one big change going on for a few weeks for them. So if you have vacations coming up or a new baby on the way, moving houses, changing daycare, those are all pretty big life moments for your child, and you want to time it up right. If you are expecting another child and you're early in your pregnancy, go ahead and you can do this because you have plenty of time to adjust before the baby comes. But if baby's due in like a month and you're trying to do this, it's going to be a harder adjustment. There's lots of typically regressions that come around when a new baby it comes into the picture as well. So thinking about those things. And the last thing before you decide to move them is how's sleep going on in the crib already? If sleep is not great, meaning they have a hard time falling asleep or they're not sleeping through the night, highly recommend keeping them in the crib, tackling those sleep challenges there as opposed to in the bed. Once they're in the bed, it just takes longer. It still can be done, but it's just going to take longer and a few more tears. Now, if your child is crib climbing and jumping and you've tried a few things to keep them in there and safe and they're still doing it, absolutely move them to the bed. And at that point, you'll just tackle it all at once. Okay, so you're ready to move them. What do? First thing to do is talk about it with them leading up to this point. Any big change with a toddler, you need to give them heads up and explain how it's going to work. You're going to want to put that bed in the exact same position where the crib was in the room. Again, making too many changes on them at once is going to just make it a little bit harder for them. So keep that bed wherever the crib was in the room, and then talking about it with them. I like to use the language that they lay quietly in their bed until clock says it's morning. Those are 3 very simple rules that they can remember, and you're going to say over and over again, and you're going to practice this during the daytime too. So what do I mean by the clock says it's morning? If you Google wake up clocks or toddler clocks, these are those color-coded clocks that don't necessarily use numbers, and you make the settings. So it's time to go to sleep when the clock is red, and then at 7 a.m. or whenever you program it, the clock changes colors, which means it's okay for them to get up and leave their room. So check those out. I think those are very effective with this age because morning is so subjective on when it is and when the sun's coming up, and you want them staying in there and not getting out of bed too early. So those 3 rules. Practice, do that role playing during the day like I was saying with the clock, and practicing, it's still nighttime, so roll over, go to sleep, give your lovey a snug or whatever that is. The clock says it's morning, you're allowed to get up. Okay, and social stories are another great way to prepare them. So if you Google those, you can find them. You can also make one yourself. And essentially what this is that your child is the main character of the book. So you can take photos of them doing the desired behavior or illustrations if they want to draw it. And so you would be showing them, getting ready for bed, laying in the big kid bed, doing those 3 things, laying quietly until clock says it's morning. Okay, check out the next video for what to do if they start leaving the room.